be on fire for you. I'll say it 3-4 times again, I'll testify of you. I'll tell the world I scream it loud, I do what all of them around me scared to do. I'm not, long as your presence won't leave me.
Hey guys, it's your Creative Big Sis here. The difference between a creative director and an art director. So those two roles can easily be confused, but they are significantly different. When you're like working on a project that's more like a passion project, it's really easy for you to mix those roles, and that's just speaking from experience and like the work that I've done. I would have to maybe act as a creative director and act as an art director at the same time. But I'm going to start with differentiating creative director. Creative director is essentially responsible for the overall creative strategy, the project or campaign, and they really focused on defining the why. So basically conceptualizing the idea, conceptualizing the concepts, and then making sure that the output is in line with the brand and in line with the clients. Presenting and securing approvals, interact very closely with the clients compared to an art director. So an art director would usually just like bring the vision to life, but might not even want to interact with the client. So a creative director leads and manages the creative team. So for example, there might be a chance that the creative director might actually manage the art director, because for example, if you work at an advertising agency, you'd have the creative director maybe have like the brief and then have to like share the brief with the rest of the team, which would be an art director, a copywriter, or a designer. So it could be a graphic designer or environmental designers who physically do the actual designs on paper. Very strong with leadership and managing a group, so making sure that a project has every single person that is required from beginning to an end. So yeah, a creative director is that they're also very they possess a very strong strategic thinking. They're heavily involved in the why, and they would love to interpret that dream or interpret the vision of the client and bring it into full circle. So they need to understand trends and consumer behavior and how that concept will benefit that, not just aesthetically in the creative perspective, but also in the business or wherever it would exist, you know, for monetary value. That's mainly what the creative director does. And like I said, going back into what an art director does, an art director is very focused on the visual aspects of the project. So basically translating the creative director's work and bring it into some tangible visual interpretation. So art directors are very hands-on, and they're on set, directing the actual physical, managing the physical material, if that you can call it, like the production of managing the production of the visual materials, so ensuring that the quality is up to standard, working closely with photographers, working closely with illustrators, working closely with any visual artist to meet the deadline. So one element of art directors is like very detailed, and they pay very much attention to the sets and how that would look like. Most of the times art directors don't really communicate with the clients, and so if you're a person that really wants to just like be hands on the creative stuff, being an art director is much better. Well, it's a better option, because then you just have to deal with the visual interpretation and playing on sets and just having that, you know, good time. Well, it is work. Creative work is work. I think people don't really understand that being a creative is a full-time job, and I think as you're engaged in like projects, whether it's a passion project, or I think that's where every creative starts, creating concepts and bringing them to life. For example, as you guys know, my background story is fashion styling and editorials, and that's something that I really loved. But then I was so passionate about storytelling, and I really tapped into that element, and that's how I really like bumped into creative direction and creating mood boards and creating treatments. Like that's where I like, you know, that's where I really do my thing. So yeah, and I think that skill, like acquiring that skill, kind of led me into getting more knowledge on the field and getting experience. So yeah, if you guys have more questions, you can definitely just pop them in and I'll try and answer. I'm a creative big sis, and I have to be the gal to do the things.
I be on fire for you. I'll say it 3, 4 times again.